Okay, everyone, let's get started. Kia ora koutou. Welcome to our webinar for the Norwest Arc Cycleway Extension and Wastewater Works. My name is Olivia, your host for this webinar. First, I'll introduce you to the team behind the screen, then I'll let you know how you can participate during the session. Before the session begins, you'll also have the agenda up for you to see. Our presenters today will include the two project managers from Council, Richard Hum, who will be overseeing the transport parts of this project, in particular the Cycleway extension, and Ross Julian from our Three Waters team, who will be overseeing the work below the ground pipe upgrades. We've then got two presenters from Isaac Construction, Quinton Ralston and Danny Wilson. Now, a few features to highlight before we get started. Your mics and cameras are switched off so that we can keep the session moving, but you can ask questions in the Teams chat or the Q&A, which is located in the top bar menu as a speech bubble. If you're not able to use either of these features, you can email questions to letstalk@ccc.govt.nz. If you're hard of hearing or if you're experiencing sound issues, you can turn on live captions. Just click on the three small dots above More at the top of your Teams screen and click Turn on Live Captions near the bottom of the drop-down list. I'll pass on to Richard now.
Kia ora koutou, welcome and thanks for attending. I'm just going to quickly run through the agenda and I'll just start with a quick project overview by myself and Ross. Then we'll have Isaac's Construction, who will then do a bit of background on the company, and then they will give you a project overview to introduce the team and cover the stakeholder communications. The Isaac's project manager, Danny, will then break down the work program going over the construction and the sequencing of impacts. At question time, we will all input into answering the questions, and we'll have to come through and give you an opportunity for verbal questions as well, if you can't get those other questions onto the bubbles that Olivia's mentioned. The full project scope, obviously there's transport and Three Waters assets both being built. So we've got to construct the northernmost section of the Norwest Arc. Obviously we're also doing a street renewal along Aorangi Road, and this also includes a section of Matson's Ave as well. And we're also installing signalised and raised pedestrian crossing at the intersection of Aorangi and Wairiki Road. This will look to make the intersection a lot safer and enhance the safety for pedestrians and cyclists. The Transport and Three Waters team are working to deliver this together, and we're looking to obviously have this all this work from Aorangi Road all the way through to Hillwood Road completed by the end of 2026 or mid-2026, sorry. As you can see by the two maps that we have on here, we've got the full length of the Norwest Arc. This runs from Cashmere through to Brynwa. This includes this through Spraydon, Middleton, Riccarton, Ilam. The route begins at the Princess Margaret Hospital in Cashmere and currently open as far as Jelly Park Sports Centre on Ilam Road. The cycleway will provide a safer route for cyclists to get to school, university, work, pools, gym, parks, local shops, making it way safer for people to bike, help reduce congestion and lowers emissions, makes it a lot easier for it to get around. As you can see by the other map in the green, this is the final section that we're extending of the Norwest Arc, and it starts at Ilam Aorangi Corner and goes all the way down Aorangi Road, small section of Condell, and up Matson's Ave. After the cycleway works is completed, there is only one small section remaining of the Norwest Arc, which is the Annex Road rail crossing. We're currently working with Kiwi Rail just to confirm the programs on that, and we'll be looking to complete that in the future sometime. So as you can see by the map we've got here, it's the staging of work. We've got 3 stages for the section here. The first stage is in the orange. This is obviously one of the most intrusive works that we're setting. It's the orange stage. It includes the work on Wairiki Road and Aorangi Road. We'll be starting this work in early January and hopefully finishing maybe semi-mid of 2025. The next section is in red from Island Road through to Brookside Terrace. Well, this is yet to be procured, but expect to start that in mid-2025. And the last section is Condell, which goes down that small section of Condell, up Matson's Ave and finishes at Harewood Road. And we expect to start that in late 2025. And again, all stages are to be completed in mid-2026.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Ross, and as mentioned previously, the council is taking the opportunity to replace some of the below ground pipes within the project area, and quite a significant part of those works are the wastewater pipes in the area. So that picture on the left, you can see some red boxes, and there'll be some quite significant wastewater pipe renewal on Arangi Road itself, and also on Wairaki Road. The pipes on Arangi Road were originally installed in around 1929, so they're nearly 100 years old. They're in need of replacement due to their age, and also they're due to be upsized, so there's a bit more capacity in the network. The pipes on Wairaki Road is quite a large diameter trunk main which runs down Wairaki Road. It takes a lot of wastewater flow from that sort of northwest part of Christchurch, and it also needs to be upsized. It's currently running full, and it's going to be upsized from a DN 450 to a DN 600 at the same time. So there's also some other works on water supply pipes and wastewater pipes in other parts of the project, but probably the most significant works will be around this Arangi Wairaki Road intersection with the wastewater. Thank you.
Kia ora. So, turn my camera on. I'm Quinton Ralston, representing Isaac Construction, and I'll give you a bit of a intro into our side of the agenda today. So I'll give you a bit of brief of the company history, Isaac Conservation and Wildlife Trust, who we are and what we're about, and then I'll hand over to Danny for the project overview, meet the team, stakeholder comms, and the work program in detail. So we're the Isaac Group. We've been established in construction in Canterbury in the construction industry since 1950, and we're now made up of Isaac Construction, Simcox Construction, and Liddell Construction. So this project will be delivered by Isaac Construction with the local Canterbury team. Bit of history about us. We were founded in 1950 by Sir Neil Isaac and Lady Diana Isaac. Unfortunately, both passed away now, but both knighted in their own rights. They were big into contracting, but also big into conservation, education, and philanthropy. So they've been pretty heavily involved in the Canterbury region for a long, long time, and have invested in projects like earthquake strengthening of the Isaac Theatre Royale. They've been involved in the Isaac Conservation and Wildlife Trust, and we're creating that since 1977. And I'll talk a little bit about what that's about and what we do across the wider Canterbury region. So we've got a proud history. Essentially, we're a quarrying company at our heart. We've got a pretty significant quarry out at McLean's Island Road, which has been established since mid-1950s, and our construction business and operations operate out of there still. We supply a raft of construction materials and products and services into the infrastructure industry. The Isaac Conservation and Wildlife Trust, so they've got some pretty key goals that they work towards. One is completion of the Isaac Conservation Park, the reclamation of quarry land for the creation of wildlife habitats, breeding of endangered endemic bird species and reptile and plant species, and promoting public support and interest for conservation preservation programs and education. So I'll talk about each of those. We've got about 1,100 hectares of land directly out behind the Christchurch Airport. just off McLean's Island Road, and we've repurposed 85 hectares at this stage into essentially a conservation park. It's rehabilitated quarry land, wetlands and breeding facilities where we breed our endangered bird species in partnership with Department of Conservation. So fauna conservation, it's our specialised breeding program. We're currently breeding orange-fronted parakeet, NZ shore plover, black stilt, brown teal and the blue duck. Some of these birds would be extinct if it wasn't for the Isaac Trust's intervention over the last couple of decades. So it's pretty important work. Flora conservation, so native revegetation, regeneration, eco-restoration projects. We've had a large project planting about 90,000 plant species, trees, etc. along the Otakaikino waterway, which runs through part of our property, and we target regeneration, revegetation projects right across the South Island. And we have another arm which is historic building conservation. We have our own heritage park out on our site at Isaac's, where there's about 16 fully restored heritage buildings, including a church and a jail and various other buildings, which is pretty cool. And the final arm of the Trust's operations is investment in education. So we currently fund master's scholarships at Canterbury University, Lincoln University and Otago University, and that's specifically in the fields of sustainability, environmental protection or environmental research. We employ about 450 people across the South Island. We've got a head office in Christchurch, branches in Dunedin, Nelson, West Coast and Blenheim. We've got a pretty wide-ranging capability across civil infrastructure, which is 3 waters, services, power installations, and then roading, curbs, footpaths, etc. We've been involved in the Cycleway program of work with Christchurch City Council for 7 or 8 years now, I think, and delivered a lot of the work around Christchurch City. We've got a business for good philosophy, and that links back to our ownership by the Isaac Conservation and Wildlife Trust. We look after our people, we look after their families, our family as we see it, and we like to look after our communities that we work in. We have some pretty amazing projects, some award-winning projects at national and local level, and just recently this year fortunate to be Canterbury Contractor of the Year, which is pretty cool. Company values: promising safety first. We strive to send everyone home safely. It's one of our biggest values, and that goes for our team, our contractors, as well as the public, people that interact with our works in and around our sites, as drivers, pedestrians, cyclists. We want to create a better future for our people, for our company, for our clients and for our community. We look to raise the bar, so we're looking to deliver our projects as quickly as possible, looking after the stakeholders to the highest level we can, and doing the best we can by our community. We know these works are disruptive, so we work really hard to manage that with you. We lead by example, so we want to be the example that people are following, and be well, do well. We want our people to be well, we want our community and our city to do well. That's a bit of a summary: right for our people, right for our customers, and right for the environment. So I'll hand over to Danny Wilson. He's our project manager for this project. He's been involved with it alongside Lauren for a number of months now, a lot of intense planning, and he'll talk you through the rest of the team and the strategy for delivering the works.
Cool. Thanks for that, Quinton. If we just go back to that slide. Cool. So just to introduce our project team. So we've got the project split into the West Zone and the East Zone. The West Zone is our work at Wairaki Road and down into Brookside Terrace there, and then the East Zone is our work north of the intersection. So in the West Zone, that'll be led by our engineer Lauren, and our drainage supervisor, Corey. And then our east zone will be led by Jack Anderson, who's our engineer, and Drew Hartley, our drainage supervisor. So those are the 4 people that you'll see the most on site, and they'll be supported by obviously myself as the PM, our stakeholder advisor, Hayley. Pete is our stakeholder manager who will be supporting Hayley for our stakeholder engagement. And then we have Quinton, obviously, who you've heard from, is our contracting manager, and Kevin Curtis is our contractors representative. So that's how we'll be staging it. And if you see any of these people out on site, feel free to come and say hi or ask them a question about how the work's progressing. In terms of sequencing, so our first phase is going to be the Waireki Aorangi intersection, and that's mainly based on the sewer renewal that we have to do. So what we have to do first is get in and replace the old wastewater network, which Ross had talked about earlier. What that involves is digging a 4-metre deep hole, essentially pulling out the existing pipe and then putting the new pipe in again. So to enable that, we'll be doing some sheet piling, which I'll go into in a bit more detail next, and then we'll have diggers and things on site to dig the holes. So that'll be the first phase, which will start in January. The second phase, which will go from February through to June, will be we'll continue on the installation there through the intersection, plus we'll be working in a section on Aorangi as well. And then through the third phase of works, we'll be looking to open up the intersection, have all the drainage work done, get the intersection traffic signals in, redo the road, and then work on a section from Brookside through to Waireki intersection. So for our traffic management, so for our first phase, we will have the Waireki Road Aorangi intersection closed. So that'll be 3 weeks in the January period, which will get us from essentially through to February from the start of the year. The second phase, from February pretty much through to June, we'll open 1 lane on Waireki Road. So we'll have traffic able to flow through to the city, and we'll have detour maps that will tell you how to get in and around the work site. We'll also have north of the intersection from Aorangi to Condell, we'll have traffic flowing from Condell Ave through to Waireki, and that'll allow any residents to get into site and get into their homes that way, and they'll be able to exit onto Waireki and head towards town. For phase 3, we are hoping that all that will be open, and you'll have traffic as usual through there, and we'll run a 1-way section between Brookside and Waireki, and that will help us to complete the works down in that section. So just to go into a bit more detail about phase 1, if you look at where crew 1 is pointing in the north there, we'll have some water installers there working first thing. They'll be working to upgrade the water main pipe in that section. Then they'll move on to wastewater works in there. Then we'll have stormwater works. We'll start repairing your curb and channel, and the roading will get done last. So in where crew 2 is, at the Waireki intersection there, that's where the majority of the sheet piling will take place. So that's going to be where the biggest impact is, and we've actually got 2 crews working in there as well as the sheet piling crew. If we go to the next one, I'll just go into the sheet piling because this is a major part of our works and what we need to do to keep our guys safe while we actually installed the 4-meter deep pipes. So essentially with sheet piling is we have a big digger on site, and it'll lift some steel sheets which are 9 meters long, and he'll lift those into the air and drive those into the ground. And what that'll do is it'll create a sort of water barrier and a safe zone that we can go into work so that the ground around the excavation doesn't close in and fall on our guys. So it's quite noisy, and there is vibration that will be felt by nearby properties. But we will be only doing this work during the day, and we'll have noise monitoring machines there, and we'll be keeping an eye on the vibration as well. Just on the next slide, I thought we'll just add in this just a little piece, just a video from YouTube, just to show you what it actually looks like. So that's just the excavator lifting up the sheets, and then they're just vibrated and driven into the ground. Yeah, like that. So during this time, we understand that there is going to be a massive disruption to the businesses, and we're here to just try and work in with you and help to just do what we can. We can adjust sort of how we program works and how we fit parking in. So we've gone and prepared these two sort of maps here for parking for the businesses. So we've got detours, and that'll show you how to get into Aorangi Road, which is an area where we'll keep parking available for the businesses, is on the south side of the road, on the southwest. So on the northeast side, we'll maintain the two parking bays there's one just outside the shops, and then there's also one closer to town as well. So those are the two areas we'll be maintaining, and we'll be signposting these areas and just putting a bit more information about the businesses that are open within the worksite as well. So following on from that first phase, where we have the intersection closure, this is what it will essentially look like from February to around June. We'll have a single lane open down Wairaki, which will let people head into town, and then we'll have detours in place to get you out and around the current worksite. So that section of Aorangi there as well, we will have access for residents from the Condor event, and you can shoot in there and then shoot out at the Wairaki end. So that's going to be the major setup, and we'll be sending out communications about that, and I'll get Pete to talk to that a bit later on. So for the final sequencing, that's still one we're still sort of working through the finer details. We have just got a bit of showing a bit of a work area on the north side of Wairaki, which is just if we need some extra time and the weather's poor, we'll still be working in that area to redo the road while we open up the area south to start the service installations, and then we'll carry on and build the cycleway and the road last. So that's the very last stage of it through, which will take us through to September 2025. Cool. I'll just pass you over to our communications manager, Pete.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. My name's Peter. I work with our stakeholder engagement and communications team. Our job is to be the liaison between the stakeholders and the community that we're affecting with this work and our teams. So we'll be challenging our teams in their planning. The key thing is that there are some some small parts of this construction process that are negotiable. So we would like to understand the community and the people we're working around. So we encourage people to get in touch with us. Let us know any concerns, let us know sort of any special needs for access, those who work from home, courier deliveries and so forth, understanding the businesses in the area as well. So Danny's pointed out, obviously there's a bit of impactful work around the intersection. So our job in the next, we've got an understanding of the community at the moment, but the more we can talk to people, our team will be on the ground in the next week or so talking to the businesses. We'll be door knocking residents and starting to work with the people in that directly impacted area. Yeah, we work to maintain access. At times there's going to be some disruption to access. I know that's a key question that a lot of people are asking. So we'll have some communication coming out on Monday, which will formally introduce the project and some information around it, who to get in touch with, how to get in touch with us. We will have some specific plans for different stakeholders around the intersection. That's businesses and residents. We'll have some different plans on when we are on site and when we're not on site. And this will be communicated quite clearly in letter drops. We do have other avenues for residents and businesses to get onto and connect with our stakeholder database. We then have facility to e-text, update via email, and then also link you with the council webpage that gives you updated information about our work. So that's the key thing is, reach out to us, get in touch with us. That's, continue to talk to us, because the sooner we know about any potential issues or problems, we can start to plan for it. So the key takeaways from us is that we know that some of this work is planned. We may not be able to change the scope of the work, but what we can do is talk to our teams. And we are, again, just to reiterate, we are sitting in the middle of our team. We're part of our planning meetings. We're going to be challenging our teams around how they're planning their work and what times and when we need to minimize disruption. But we know that at times there will be some disruption. So it's just our team working with the public and our communities. And just remember, in particular, that our teams on the ground sort of aren't really the guys that make the decisions on the project. Make sure that you raise all concerns and queries through our stakeholder advisor. You'll have the contact details through our communication that will go out next week. So yeah, get in touch with us. You can call and text on our project number. We've got an email address set up. And the main thing is for residents and businesses and within our impacted zone, please sign up for e-text alerts, emails, send us your contact details. There's a QR code there. And yeah, get in touch. The more we know, the better. And we know this work will impact our community. We're a community-based company. We're working in with council with this project. So get in touch with us. And
Thanks, Pete. So we've already got a few questions here from some of the people that have been on there. We got one from Annette about the access to her site. As Pete mentioned, there'll be some communications coming out in the next week or so that will detail that a bit more. And Annette, please make sure that you get in contact with Pete and his team so that they can make sure that you have access to your site and make sure that everything works for you on that. We've got another one here as well, which sort of talks about the disruption and how long that can be and what the changes in the Aorangi Wairiki intersection could be and how the flow will come back out of that. So what we'll first talk about is the timeframes. Obviously, Danny gave a bit of a run of how long we expect that to be, or the interruption to be. Obviously, the first road closure is for 3 weeks. That is the plan, and obviously we are working to be completed this section in September. Obviously, the other 2 sections are still planning. We've still got to go out to procurement and get everything ironed out for those. But again, we're still planning to have those sections both completed by mid-2026. So yeah, there is quite a significant disruption. Obviously, the biggest one for this entire project is the Wairiki Road intersection. The other ones are obviously on Aorangi themselves, a bit on Condor and on Matson's Ave. As those move through, we'll know a bit more detail about the ones that are going in the other two stages. But we don't see them having as much impact as what we have here on Wariki Road, purely because of the nature of some of the wastewater renewals that we have on that section. As for what we expect the flow of traffic to be when the works are completed, we do expect Wariki Road to be back to normal. There will be a new signalised pedestrian crossing. However, we don't see that as causing delays or anything. That's just a safer way for pedestrians and cyclists to get across the road. We do see that there is a change in the intersection there for vehicles coming towards Wariki from either side of Aorangi. So they're left in and left out. So we'd expect if someone's travelling north along Aorangi Road, that they would end up taking a left-hand turn and then going up to Greers Road and taking a right-hand turn to continue north. And if we're going south on Aorangi Road towards Wariki, we'll be expecting a left-hand turn again, travelling up to Ilam Road and then turning right onto Ilam Road to continue up on that tour there. So I might just chuck this one question here to the Isaac's team about the berm. So if one of the team could grab that one.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. If the person that sent the question through, if could get in touch with our team and sort of specify where that is, but that that's within our works is to reinstate anything to its previous state. So that would be our intention, is to fix the berm. I'll just carry on, Richard, and just answer a couple of questions that have come in online as well. So we've got one from Mark. How do we get in and out of our properties during the day and when our section of the road is closed? That's a really good question. We'll have a traffic controller on the entry point of where the closure is. There will be access for residents to come in and out via the traffic controller. It will be something that we will be working with residents to sort of manage the safety of the site and access. But the simple answer is yes. We will be giving the specific messaging for the different areas or different zones of work, and that will give some pretty clear details on how we'll be managing the access. Should people have any additional questions there or any specific information around their specific access needs, then definitely get in touch. And that's the key objective here, guys, is that get in touch with us. We'll come and talk to you, and we're going to be on the ground talking to people, the business owners, the residents in the area over the next week. So reach out for us, make a time for us to come down and see you. We can answer these questions. So yeah, the access is the key one. So we'll be communicating that shortly. We've got one here from Anne to talk about this, creating a cycle detour plan. Cool. Yeah, we're talking to that. Thanks, Anne, for that question. And the cyclist is a really important transport mode that we want to manage through the site. We'll be working with our traffic management planner there. And obviously we've sort of worked with other projects with cycle detours, so perhaps it's something we can connect with as well and sort of look at how that could look. Patrick, with hours of work, generally 7 AM to 6 PM is our hours of work, Monday to Friday. We will be working the occasional Saturday. And also just to understand that depending on how the work goes, there may be some night work that could be planned on this project. It's something that we will communicate to people should we undertake any night works. But generally it's work during the day, 7 AM till 6 PM, Monday to Friday, the occasional Saturday. And we've got one from Amy about pedestrian access from Wairaki closed area towards Jelly Park and Cobham. Yes, we will be maintaining pedestrian access depending on where the work zone is and where our workers need to be. Pedestrians may be sort of detoured around the site. There will be some clear signage for pedestrian access, and pedestrian access more importantly as well to access sort of the recreational areas for residents and also for the businesses. So we will be maintaining access there. I'll begin answering Annette's question. Thank you, Annette. So when will work be finished? When the work is finished, what will street parking for vehicles be? That could be something I'll pass back on to Richard.
Thanks, Annette. Obviously, working with installing the new cycleway, there is going to be some parking that is removed. However, there will still be parking areas maintained throughout the full length of Aorangi and Matson's Ave. But essentially, yes, there will be areas where there'll be parking removed, but we are still looking to have parking spaces definitely being retained. And then we've got when vehicles, I've got one here for Mark, when all the work is done, motor vehicles will be able to turn right into Aorangi Road from Wairakei when all this is done. The answer to that is yes. So they will both be able to do a right-hand turn. We have small pedestrian islands at the intersection there, which will still let vehicles turn right from Wairakei Road into Aorangi, but it just restricts the turning movement right out of Aorangi coming from either sides. We've got one here from, we answered the one from Amy. Yeah. So how can a customer access the bakery and businesses here? So as was mentioned by Danny in the program there'll be parking areas that will be maintained in the south side of Aorangi Road, and there'll be detours that will take people into that for that section, and that will obviously maintain during the stages or phases 1 particular, and in phase 2 there will be parking that will be opened back up on the one way, so that will obviously maintain parking during that time of phase 2, and then when it comes to phase 3, Wairakei will be pretty much opened right back up, and there is no change in car parking on Wairakei Road when the project's finished. So Amy, we have a tree which is the highest level of protection available in New Zealand in front of our project property in Wairakei. That's a very good question, Amy. So what we actually do as part of any project within council is we do a tree management plan. And so you'll have an arborist walk the site and look at trees and confirm what trees are in that area and what trees will need to be protected. Then that creates a tree management protection plan. So any trees that are in that area that need to be protected will have a plan specifically detailed for that particular tree. And I'm hoping that I'm pretty sure that Danny's team would have already identified that tree and will already have a tree management plan for that particular tree. I hope that answers your question there, Amy. Thanks, Annette. We did sort of quickly answer that about the parking. I mentioned Wairakei Road will still be the same, but there will be a bit of parking loss on Aorangi. Mark, no, the plan hasn't changed, but we are still looking to remove parking, but there will still be some on-street parking maintained. I can answer the one for Odin there. So power, electricity and internet. I wouldn't expect there'd be any interruptions in internet. And electricity and water, there will be times where there could be a cut down, but that will generally be at times when you're not at work or sleeping. They'll be generally done at night. Water, obviously, when there's some of the work on the water mains will be done, those cutovers will be done at night, obviously to create the least interruption as possible so that you guys can maintain as much normality as possible. And yes, and one thing is you'll be notified before any interruptions of power cuts or water cuts. So just on those two comments on the water and power cuts there from Odom and Amy. So yeah, you will be notified well before these happen so that you can mitigate any of these issues. And as I mentioned, they'll be happening at night. Good question, Odom. The current policy from council at the minute is we don't have any business compensation for any disruptions. That's just something that's the standard policy for council. So at this point, there's nothing there from council that we would do any compensation for business disruption. We do empathise with the disruption that we are creating. We know that we're creating a massive disruption for all stakeholders, businesses, and properties in the area and homeowners. But we are trying our best to mitigate that. Obviously, one of these things we've done is that start in early January when it's the lowest sort of traffic on the road, to try and get in there and get things done as quick as we can. We'll obviously, as Danny mentioned, with the sequencing, we've got a lot of work fronts going on at the same time. We're looking at traffic management, challenging our traffic management and how we can progress that and make it more user-friendly for those people out there, and as well as keeping it safe for our people on site. Obviously, at the end of the day, safety is a key thing that we have to make sure that everyone, not just our workers, but also the public, are kept safe. And I'm not sure if this water upgrade will reduce leaks, as this is basically the main. It's not so much the sub mains that run and feed each house. So it's the main that's in the middle of the road, which then all the sub mains are fed off. So I wouldn't say that they're going to reduce water leaks. No, potentially, as Ross has just mentioned it. Is that all the questions for now? I see that they've just sort of stopped coming through. We'll move on and just hang on, we've got one more here from Anne. I'm not sure about that, Mark. I don't know if we'll make it worse, mate, but it wouldn't be the intention of it. It would definitely make it better if anything. So yeah, so I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us on this webinar. And if you've got any feedback or anything about the webinar, please email the Let's Talk at cccgovt.nz. To discuss anything project related, please contact Isaac Construction on those phone number there in the MCR Norwest at isaac.co.nz. And for general project updates, please subscribe to the website page at ccc.govt/Norwest Arc / thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Hang on, we've got one more here from Amy. I think we'll get the Isaacs team to answer that one.
So just answering the question around vehicle access when the road's completely closed. So there will be, when we're working, we have the road closed between point A and point B. So in particular, if we're looking at Aorangi north of the Wairaki intersection, there will be a traffic control. The road closure, sorry, will be at Condell, but there will be resident access permitted inside that, controlled by the traffic controller. So at times there may be some disruption of being able to go in and out of your property based on where the teams are going to be working. We'll be working with residents to try and map out how that is. Again, the more we know about the residents, our teams will start to pivot and move and help with that access. Should we know the access may be disrupted or more disruptive for certain residents, we'll be talking to people ahead of time. So start to plan that work so that if we needed to have a window there where access was needed to be disrupted for a bit longer, we'd talk to the residents and just see what we can do to work around that disruption and work with our teams as well. So just being, like I said, the gateway between the residents and our teams. When the site is unattended, which is when we're not working, the site will be reduced. So Aorangi Road between Condell and the intersection will become a one-way system. The workspace on Wairaki Road will be reduced as well to make it clearer how residents will access their properties. Remember, when we're not at work, that's the evenings and potentially the weekend. So we'll make it really clear around where the residents will be able to access when we're not at work, have some higher controls for safety when we're at work, and then also have the business signage and how for customers to access businesses when we are and when we're not when we are working, when we're not working as well. So hopefully that does clarify a bit more about the vehicle and resident access. Like I said earlier, we will be sending more information directly to residents in a flyer, and then also giving the opportunity for people to sign up for a stakeholder database so that we can sort of carry any direct questions that residents and businesses may have. We will be on the ground, like I said earlier, for the next week. So get in touch with us. We're meeting businesses sort of one-on-one and talking through what our options are around access for their customers, access for their delivery drivers, parking options and so forth. So get in touch with us. We will be out and about, and we're really available to answer these questions plus many more. So if there's no more questions, I will end the seminar there. Thank you for everyone's time today, and like Richard said earlier, we've got a couple of avenues there for feedback. Get in touch with us as a contractor of Isaacs for more Isaacs related questions, and keep updated on the council's website as well. Thank you.